here we have it. So we've got our 2 penguin squares, and I've decided I'm going to turn mine into a decorative throw pillow. So I'm just going to go over how I put my pillow together. So we've got our 2 squares, and we make sure again that each of these has the equal number of stitches along each side. So as previously determined, I have 36 stitches along each side of my square. So in order to sew these together and be able to stuff it, I am going to turn these guys right side facing towards each other. So the back part of my squares are facing outward. Okay. And by the way, to stitch this up, I'm going to use the border color, which is the gray that I'm using here, which is the pale gray from Lion Brand, Vanna's Choice. You will need a darning needle in order to sew your edges around. And then finally you will need some polyester filling, which I have here. I've got a big 16-ounce bag. I've got approximately half of it left that I'm going to use to stuff my pillow with. And it is washable, so that's the great thing about using that polyester fill. Okay, so I have cut a long strand here of my yarn. Oh, I'm going to go on a limb and say I probably cut about 6 feet. Again, I'm notorious for cutting more than I need because I'm always worried about running out. So I'd rather have some left over at the end as opposed to running short. So that's me. So I've threaded it through my, the end of my needle here. And so again, I've put the front sides facing each other. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom here, and I'm going to weave up and around the top and around the sides, and then just leave this open before I finish it off, and that's when I will proceed to stuff it and then finish it off there. So I like the idea of kind of stuffing it from the bottom. So how do we begin? What I'm going to do is I'm going to find this first stitch here on the corner, right? So really this first double crochet here, the top is right there. I am going to find that little spot in the chain stitch right there, and I'm going to put my needle through that, and I'm going to find the coinciding chain in the other square. So this is the first stitch here, and so the chain is right there. So I am going to insert my needle into that stitch there. And what I want to do is I want to pull my yarn all the way through, and I'm going to tie it to secure this end. Okay, so I'll leave a little tail there. So what I'm going to do is I am going to knot that so that it secures into place. And I like doing it about 3 times to make it nice and secure. And then I'm not going to worry about cutting this off because this is going to be on the inside of the pillow, so I'm just going to leave that tail hanging out there. Okay, so now I am going to press these sides together. So see how the tops of the stitches are now sitting side by side, those V's there. So what I want to do is I've identified this first stitch here on this square. So my first stitch here, and you want to be careful because this is the corner, so you don't want to accidentally get the bottom here. This is the first stitch on that side of the other square. So the top of it is actually this V here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my darning needle from the back, and I want to make sure in this case I'm going to secure going through both of those top loops in the V there. Okay, then I will go to the matching, the coinciding stitch on this square, and I will insert my darning needle into there. Whoops. So now I've got them sitting in both of the stitches. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my yarn all the way through. So this is the whip stitch technique. where you're basically whipping it together. Okay, so there's the end. So see, I'm going to just gently tug there. And now I'm going to find the next stitch. So currently it's through this first one. The next one is here, and it's going to coincide with this one on this side. So again, I'm going to insert my needle from behind. And that's just because what I'm comfortable with. I like kind of sewing towards me. Some people will do it this way, and that's a-okay as well. So I'm inserting my needle, and then I find the coinciding stitch right there, and then I pull it through, and I'm going to pull my yarn through. Here we go, nice and easy. Just keep that tail out of the way for now, and then just gently give it a little tug. So there you go. So you can see it's starting to be secured. So again, I will do that into the next stitch, which will be this one. And it's really important to make sure, and sometimes I'll do a little tug test and I'll see, okay, this stitch is occupied. So this is the next one. This is the third stitch, and I can see this is the one that's coming out of, so it's going to coincide with this one. So these two right here will match. Okay, so I'm going to come in from behind again. It's important, whatever way you start, you want to stay consistent. And I'm going to catch those two, and I'm going to pull through. Okay, so we are technically have the pillow outside, I guess wrong side out, you could call it. And so then eventually when you turn it over, see how it's nicely coming together. You can barely see where the stitches are, and that's why I love using the same color of the border. Okay, so I'm going to do one more here. So again, you want to really make sure that you can sit them up next against each other so you can see those stitches really nice and clearly. So I'm going to find my next stitch that I need to go into, which is this one here. Okay, so I'm going to insert my needle, and now I'm going to find the coinciding stitch in the next square, which is this one. Pull it through and pull the yarn through all of these loops here. And there you have it. So this is the whip stitch technique I'm using. See, it actually lies nice and flat, beautifully done there, if I do say so myself. Sometimes you just got to give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, so we're going to do this again one more time. So we identified this one here. Pick up the coinciding stitch, okay, right there. You're going to pull it through and pull the yarn through. And you don't want to do it too tight. You want them to be consistent. So you want to just gently kind of snug it up there. There you go. You definitely want it to be secure, but you don't want it to be too tight because you'll start bunching here. And you want all the stitching to be nice and even and relaxed. Okay, so we're going to do this all the way around, up the side, around each corner, and come back down to the bottom, and then we'll talk about stuffing it before we finish cinching it off. Okay, so I'll meet you back around, so pause the video, and I'll meet you back around in this bottom corner here. Here we are coming up around our last edge here. So I've actually gone across most of this fourth corner. I just want to leave enough of an opening that I can stuff my pillows. So I've got the wrong sides facing out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to turn it right side out, because of course I want our penguin to show through. So this might be a little tricky because I left a smaller opening. There we go. Okay. I just want to straighten out the corners here. There we go. Mr. Penguini on one side and on the other. It's looking pretty smart. Okay, so we've got our opening here, and we're going to use that opening to stuff the pillow. So I'm going to take my polyfill here. Just like to break it up a little bit. And I'm just going to stuff my pillow. And you kind of want to do it however, you know, you like. Some people like it really stuffed and super firm. Other people like it just easy peasy, a little bit loose and soft, especially if it's really only a decorative pillow. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will come back around and talk about sealing that off. Okay, and here I am just coming up to the end of stuffing my pillow. So just made sure that, you know, it came out nice and even, that the corners got an even amount of stuffing. So that's kind of a nice little pillow there. Not, you don't want to stuff it too much. It's just, again, meant to just be decorative. So now, because I was sewing it wrong side out and going from the back to the front, or the outside in, I'm now going to try and do this from the inside out to finish this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that next stitch there, and I'm going to insert my needle from the inside of the work here. Okay, and I'm just going to pull that through, and that should secure it. So then I'm going to come to the outside on this side, and see I've got that next stitch here that's available. I'm going to pull the needle and the yarn through. Careful not to let it felt or knot. Oops, see, this is a great example. I didn't want to do that. So let's get that out of the way. There you go. So just gently kind of pull it together. You don't want it to go too tight. And so now I'm going to find, I know I've just gone into that previous one, so I'm going to insert my needle into this one and pull through again. And I'm doing this all the way. So then here, I know that one was used, so this is the next stitch. And again, I should make sure I'm on this side of things. Oops, just lost my needle there. So I'm going to keep doing that. Just coming up to the end of the pillow. So again, I'm picking up the 2 loops of that stitch, I'm pulling through, and then the next set, oops, it should be this one actually, the next set, and you're just going to keep doing that until you get to the end where you'll be able to cinch the whole thing shut, and I'm just about there. And then you want to make sure that you knot it at the end to secure it. And then you want to weave in and hide your tail here. So that is the last one there. And I think, yeah, so see there's still an opening there. So I just want to make sure that I get right into the corner there. And now I'm in this one, which should be my last free stitch. There we go. Yeah, so now I'm in the corner and I'm good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to secure it there, and I'm going to knot it. So I'm bringing it back in, and then what I'm going to do is just feed that through there to create a little knot. So I'm just pulling that, but I'm making sure it doesn't pull the whole work. And then I'm just going to weave in this end a little bit here. Just going to weave it in just a bit there. And you want to kind of, oops, weave it in back and forth a little bit so it doesn't become too obvious. So I'm just going to actually hide that there. And again, that's why I like using a border row, and then you can use, obviously you're going to use the same color to sew in your sides. So then it just kind of blends in really nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip this, and I'm going to use my little hook trick to hide this. So I'm just going to kind of feed this in through here and hook it in, and then just pull it through. I'm going to pull it through again so that I hide it inside there. There we go. So there you have it. You've sealed off your end, and then you just kind of want to even it out there. And there you have a ready-made penguin pillow. Now I'm going to add a little fringe border just to give it a little extra something. But if you just wanted to leave it plain like this, you most certainly can. So you see the seams blend in quite nicely around the edges, and you've got blue penguini on one side, and you've got black penguini on the other side. Okay, so here's where things get a little interesting. So I've decided on my pillow, I'm going to make a little edge, like a little ripply edge, I guess we'll call it, something with a little bit of a flare. So I'm going to do something called a front post double crochet. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like. And it's going to be a little tricky because we're doing it kind of on both sides of our squares. So I'm going to do some of these stitches on this side of the pillow, on this penguin square, and then some on this side of the pillow. So it's going to take a little bit of patience, but it's going to look really, really cute. So we're going to start off with our slip knot. Okay. And I'm going to find that first corner here where there's a space, and I am going to insert my hook around that post there. So this is the top of the stitch here where we've sewn in that that whip stitch. That V up there, that's the top of the stitch. This length here, that is the post of the double crochet stitch. Okay, and that's what we're going to work our double crochets around. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch around that to secure my work there. So I'm working on the front square at the moment. Okay, I'm going to chain 3. And now I'm going to do my first front post double crochet. I'm just going to throw my tail back there. So I'm going to yarn over like a typical like a typical double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook behind that post, okay? And I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull it through. Okay, so now I have 3 loops on the hook as I would have in a double crochet, and I will yarn over and stitch it as usual. So I yarn over and I pull through 2, I yarn over and I pull through 2 again. So you can see that that double crochet has pushed this stitch to the front a little bit, so it kind of pops out from the stitch as opposed to sitting on top of it. So technically we've got 2 there because the chain 3 is 1 and there's 2 there. So now what I'm going to do is for the next front post double crochet, I am now going to do it in the back square. Okay, so I'm going to yarn over. Just going to get that tail out of the way for a second. And so that, sorry, I'll turn that over. So see, this is the first space here. So this is going to be my first front post double crochet right there. Okay, so I'll just make sure to yarn over. So it's tricky because you got to find it first. So it's right there. Okay, make sure not to pull up any of the other stitches. Whoops. So there's the opening, there's the first post. I'm going to yarn over, pull that through, 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So right now I've got 2 stitches, one in the front and one in the back on the other side. It's a little bit tricky to see right now because it looks like there's a lot going on, but once we get further in, you'll get into the groove of it. So because we technically have 2 double crochets in the front here, we're going to do 2 into the back one. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to insert our hook back behind the same post we just did. Okay, so it's back behind that same post. Yarn over and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So let me see if you can see that. So if you can see that there's 2 double crochet stitches into the post of that stitch. And on the other side, there's the chain 3 and, oops, that's the chain 3 and that's the double crochet. So each currently have 2 double crochets on the front post. So what we're going to do is now we're going to hop back over to the front. So basically you're going to stitch front, back, front, back, front, back. The thing is we're going to do it in a pattern. So we're going to do 2 front post double crochets in the front, 2 front post double crochets in the back. When we come to the front, we're only going to do a single double crochet, front post double crochet in the front, a single front post double crochet in the back. Then we go to 2 front post double crochets, 2 front post double crochets, then we go back to 1. So the pattern will be 1, 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2, 2. And you keep going all the way across until you get to the corner. Then we'll round out the corner and we'll go all the way to the end of your pillow. Okay, so I'm just going to do a few more here so you can get into the gist of the routine. So now we're coming back to the front of the pillow. So again, we've just worked this out, and some people probably like to weave in their tail to get it out of the way, but I'm just going to leave it there. So the next post, so we just worked into that one. The next one in the front is going to be this one. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to, and don't be afraid to kind of pull apart your work here so you can see. I'm going to insert it behind that post because we're working in the front post. Okay, so this is the front of our work. We're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. So again, we just did 2 here. This is only going to be a single. Now I'm going to yarn over and find the post in the back square. So I know that I just worked in that one previously, so I'm going to gently insert in the back there. Okay, and again I'm going to pull through, oops, hold on, yarn over, insert, pull through. Can get a little tricky with the stuffing in there. Just always make sure you have, there we go, 3 loops on the hook, pull through 2, pull through the other 2. So that's a single. So I need to come back to the front now. So the next post is going to be right here. We just worked in that one. So now we're going to do 2 in this post. So insert behind, pull through 2, pull through 2. I'm going to do a second one on the same post. Yarn over, insert behind the post, pull through 2, pull through 2. So you can already see it's creating this really pretty little ripply ridge effect. So So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go to the back. So again, we can see we had previously worked in that one, so we've got to pick up this one here. So gently find that post, yarn over, pull through. And this work gets funny sometimes. The yarns gets a bit hard to see, the loops. Pull through 2. We want to do a second one. Yarn over. And this is where it's funny when you're working the back. You got to yarn over and really kind of extend your hook to go behind. Make sure you're getting it in the same stitch, which is this one. Gently pull it through, pull, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So again, you can see this really pretty ripple effect it's having. So we're going to do that pattern again, the single, the individual double crochet, front post, yike, all this terminology. So I've yarned over, I find that post of the next stitch, which is this one, gently put it through, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Yarn over and we go to the back square. So we know, sorry, I keep flipping this. So we just worked into that one, so this is the next one. So we're going to insert behind, pull through, yarn over, pull through. So that was the round of singles. So the doubles tend to cluster and the single creates a ridge inward. One more time, we're going to do 2, yarn over, find this next post here, front post double crochet, that's 1. We need to yarn over and do a second one into the same post, yarn over and yarn over 2. Now I yarn over and I go to the back. Make sure to always clearly identify the one that needs to be worked into. So that was the one worked into. This is the next one we're going to work into. So, oops. Yeah, it can be a bit awkward because you're now holding something that's stuffed. But remember, you just have to be patient. It will get done and you are going to love the end result. That's 1, and I have to go back in again. And again, this may be a bit tricky to see. Like, definitely pause and rewind the video because, I mean, all this stuff when it gets clustered can be very difficult to see. But see how pretty that's coming out? The edge of the pillow there. So I'm going to let you go ahead and finish the end here, and then I'll meet you up at this corner here because we'll have to do a couple of little extra flares here just to give it, just to round it out nicely, okay? So remember, we've just finished doing 2 front post double crochets in the front, 2 in the back. Actually, we just finished the back ones. So your next one would be a single front post double crochet in the front, then you'd go a single front post double crochet in the back, and then it would be 2, 2, 1, 1. So do that all the way to the end of this side, and I'll meet you at the corner. Okay, I am coming up to my corner here, and through some experimentation, I have, come to the conclusion that the pattern does not need to be disrupted in the corners here. So if we keep doing the 2 front post double crochets and then the singles back and forth, it actually flares across this corner quite nicely. So I've already done it on this previous corner here, and it actually just goes beautifully over that corner. So it just gives the pillow a really sweet, cute little ruffled effect. It just gives it a nice little finishing touch. It's nothing too crazy, but it just gives it a really, really nice finish. So I would say go ahead and just continue on as you have. So at this point, I'm in the corner here, so there's my V. I've just done 2 front post double crochets, so now I'm going to return to doing a single. I'm just going to pick up that post there, a single front post double crochet, meaning an individual one. Then as I turn over to the back, make sure to yarn over first, and I actually have an extra one here, so I'm going to place my hook in there. Oops, something's weird here, sorry. This is the thing about when you're working with items that are stuffed. It's hard to see sometimes. So that's my V here, and this is my V here. So I'm just going to make sure I yarn over, insert my hook, pull through 3 loops, yarn over, pull through, and pull through 2. So that's a single here and a single in the back. So now we're rounding the corners, so we just continue as usual. Here I'm going to do 2 double crochets, front post double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, there's my post, I'm going to insert my hook, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So I'm going to work another one into that same post. I yarn over, insert my hook behind the post, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the other 2. So we've got 2 sitting there, which is part of what creates this really neat little, see if I turn it this way, it's got this really cool little zigzaggy, ruffly look. Really pretty. I'm super excited about it. Okay, so then I continue on and I do the same thing in the back square. So this post is right here. So I just insert behind that post, pull through. Oops, I forgot to yarn over. Yarn over, and that's the thing, when you yarn over, make sure it stays over before you insert. So when you pull through, you will indeed have 3 loops on your hook. Okay? Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the other 2. And there you have it. So we'll do another one in the same post. So that's the post there. I'm going to get in behind there. Pull through 2, pull through 2. So this one also now has 2 front post double crochets. So I'm going to continue that around. So the next set would be 1 and 1, then 2 and 2, 1 and 1, 2, 2, all the way until we get to the very end. And here we are coming up to our last post. So we've just done a single here in the back. So now we're going to do 2 front post double crochets here. So this is where we began. So you can see our initial chain 3. So, and it just so happens that the pattern brought us back to another double in front. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to insert our hook, whoops, careful, behind that post. Okay, yarn over, pull through to yarn over, pull through 2, pull through the last 2. And we need to do one more because we're doing 2 where this post is. Okay, and there we have it. And so we're out of posts here. So what's going to happen now is we will fasten off. So I'm actually just going to find the top part of this chain 3. Okay, so that's the chain 3 there. And the top stitch is right about there. It can be tricky to see because there's a chain 3 as well as a front post double crochet in here. So I would say the top of either of them is good. In fact, I think I'm going to go through that one, which is the top of the double crochet. And I'm just going to slip stitch that and snip our yarn, and we are good to go. Snip our yarn, pull it through nice and tight, And then of course you're going to weave that end in. Okay. And here we have our penguin pillow with a nice little frilly edge. That came out really, really pretty. And then you can see it there. Sorry, I don't have a lot of give with the camera here. So you can see how that nice ridge came out. And we have a nice little finishing touch to our penguin square.